Welcome back to another episode of Black on Purpose 365. Black on Purpose is the purpose. Have a seat at the table. Today, we have two of our guests that want to make a small entrance. We have the paying kids. We appreciate you all coming in, pulling up a seat with us today. Hey, what's up?
My sister Jordan.
Hey, you gonna? Yeah. Well, you gotta talk now because y'all gotta go to bed in a second.
What y'all want to talk about? What's up?
Please subscribe for more videos.
Please
Yeah?
subscribe for more videos. I like it.
I like it.
Yeah. He wants
all
to
right,
have
so
this on YouTube page too.
Good. So this will we'll be getting them in there. You'll be doing some stuff with us sometime soon.
So now I'm about to
Alright.
tell you when episode drop. Y'all will make the entrance. All right, go tell Mama night. Tell Mama night. Daddy loves her.
Okay, bye.
All right. Well, so I'm your guest today as well. I'm Sean and my co-host Donnell. So today we're gonna take a different approach. We're trying a different direction, just to get some positive energy going and to maybe get a little more familiar with us. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about some of the best days of our lives. We're gonna just give you a few details about that, and then we're gonna do we're gonna wrap after that. We're gonna wrap it up with rapid fire. He's gonna give me 10 questions, or he's gonna say 10 things, and then the first thing that comes to my mind, and then I'm gonna do the same thing to him. So Donnell, I'll just hand it off to you and let you just talk about some of the best days of your life.
I thought about this earlier, and part of what we thought about triggered me on something else. And I remember for me, I'm not gonna be too long-winded, but I remember for me going into my senior year in high school, I was still an immature kid going back and forth with my mom on I'm not going to college. My athletic career at that point, as far as anything I was doing in high school, really didn't have any real significance. Going into my senior year, the best things I actually did my senior year. So, but going into my senior year, I was still a young kid, like I'm not going to college. And I would just say part of that came to the point to where because I wasn't where I actually needed to be or focus on the things I needed to do, there was partially a lack of confidence I had or a belief that I didn't know if I could go. And at that time, it was easier for me as a young person instead of saying, I need help or I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it or having somebody that had maybe some guidance or leadership to tell me all the paths I had. I was just like, no, I ain't going because I was, insecure about it. So
Right.
going into my senior year, I took my ACT first. And on my ACT, I scored well enough to qualify me. I never even took an SAT. I never even took the SAT. I went on from there. I was actually blessed in the fact that the way my high school football coach did things is that if anybody got recruited, he would pull us all out of class and we'd all got to talk to people. So I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say this guy's name, but by another player who was being recruited to my school, I got to talk to Marshall University. At the time, the recruiter basically was actually just brushing me off. He was basically like, "Hey, man, if you can get past your NCAA clearinghouse and you can do this, this, and this, then contact me." What he didn't know is he had a motivated young man. I went right back to the classroom, went to the lab, and luckily for me, started looking and see what the academic standards were, saw that I could possibly get in there, applied, this is old school days. I'm a little older, so I went to the coaches. I had to go cut my tape, and it was VHS. So I'm in there recording and cutting and recording and cutting and sending to school, passed my clearinghouse, brought it to my parents. They had no expectation that this was happening at the time because I'm still going back and forth with them on, I don't want to go to school. I was a young, immature man. And then that day came when that acceptance letter came in the mail. And for me, I think sometimes what makes you the happiest is seeing other people happy. One of the main things that I think for me was one of the things that always made me happiest was seeing other people happy about something I had did. And when that acceptance letter came and my mom opened it, the look on her face, it was just legit. Like it was one of those moments where you felt like I had accomplished something. I never thought I was going. The family didn't know I was going. It was proud. My parents are very big churchgoers. They announced it at Sunday at church. It was really one of the happiest moments of my life because I had done something I felt made the family proud. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I'll start with that as far as one of my first because I think that story's good because I didn't have the best academic background in high school, wasn't always focused. That's a long story for the other day, but I didn't actually know how to approach it from the standpoint of communicating that how I was feeling and what it was. So it was easier for me to be like, nah, I don't want to go to college because I felt like I didn't know if I could make it. Now, once I got that acceptance letter and they told me I could make it, it was almost like, it's that Friday after next. Like when I got there, I was gone. You know what I mean? But yeah, but that was definitely one of the happiest moments. And starting out, I'll start out with that first story.
Hey, that's pretty fire, man. That's like, I mean, I guess we just kind of go back and forth on our best days. One of my best days of my life, man, was my my mother, like, so I don't really celebrate birthdays like that. We just kind of say happy birthday, whatever. And then my mother, we were talking, and she was like, we're gonna get up in the morning and we'll just go get some breakfast or something, just kind of do a little small celebration. So she has a girlfriend. Girlfriend's name is Glow. Glow was ear hustling and she overheard it. She was like, "Oh, I'm going." And I was like, "All right, okay, cool." And then, so she was just like, "What time we gonna meet?" It was like a little omelet shop kind of thing. And it was just like, "All right." So we figured out we were gonna be there, like it was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So we go there. It's her and her husband comes. So, we sit down and we're talking, and Glow was like, "You don't worry about the bill. I got that." I mean, me, I don't let nobody pay for me. That's a part of being a grown man. I worked hard to be able to pay my own bills. So I'm hearing her, but I think she know my personality enough to know that shot in this end went out the other. So then she went, she either got up and went to the waitress, or she had the waitress to come over to her. I can't remember exactly how she did it, but she didn't even allow me to see whatever the bill was. So as I was trying to, about to ask to pay, because after it was over with, it was all she was like, waitress was like, "Oh, it's already been taken care of." And it was like, "Huh?" She's like, "Yeah, my mom's friend was like, nah, I took care of all of that. I told you." That was that's one of those, my mom probably don't even remember that. Like, that matters to me because, one, I really ain't never had I ain't celebrated birthdays, never really had a birthday party, nothing like that. But just that little small, you know, taking a little bit of initiative to be like, "You know what, we care about you." That went a long way with me. That'll be something when I'm old, real old head, old and gray, that I still think about. Yeah, yeah. You got something else?
I got another one. And this one is going to be partially about being a patient parent. This one
Mhm,
partially about being about patient parent. You
mhm,
know, as a parent, you always think that you're in control. You actually think that your actions sometimes matter. And me and my wife are both sports oriented. We're very much sports oriented. And when we first put my son into sports at 3, we put him in at 3. We had been working with him at the house. We doing huts. We got drills on stuff. We put him in at 3. Didn't want to kick the ball. All right, 3 years old, I can handle it. Come back at 4 years old, he would run up and down the field, didn't steal or score. But at this point in time, I'm seeing other kids start to take off, which, you can't judge yourself or your kids by other kids. But as a competitive dad, I was still like,
mhm,
man, we were like, all right, Ty, when we get to the house, we working, man. You know what I mean? And I would overdo it.
mhm,
And so the third year, Titan 5, he's playing and he's starting playing. We're finally getting to where, they're keeping score, things like that, because I'm not with the participation awards, And I'm yelling on the sideline at one time. It got to the point where somebody told me, like, "Hey, calm down." And then my son's like, "I'd rather you not come." And I was like, man, I had to take a step back as a father at that point, because it was like, I've taken it to a point to where I'm stealing his joy from the sport, because I'm
mhm,
mad that he's not scoring. So as you can imagine, on that day where that first goal came, which took me about 3.5 years, and I want every parent to hear that. It took
mhm,
me about 3.5 years to get a goal. And I know for some parents, it's going to be tough because there's kids at 3 with 3, 4 goals. My daughter was completely different. And she was getting, but the Hammond took me 3.5 years. But when he got that first goal and he came home and he was smiling, and I was smiling, and we had the game, and I was like, I think throughout that process, I just learned so much from it because I learned that I wasn't in control, and me wanting to do this wasn't going to speed up his process. I learned I had to go at my own pace. He had to go at his own pace. And on that day when it came, it was, it was just
All in sync.
smiles everywhere.
Yeah. I think back to one of our other episodes, that was what Nicole was talking about, how you might have a certain idea of what you want your kids to do and whatever, but you gotta let them run their own race or figure things out on their own, even if it might not even be what you want them to do. You have to allow them to find that out. So yeah, that's dope, man. I tell you another for me is so I worked at I was started working. I did a summer job working in Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. This is it's gonna be crazy how this all even happened because I didn't even know I didn't even know Cedar Point was a thing. I didn't know that it existed. Went through whole football season thinking I'm gonna be a star. Then I realized then I was like, you know what? I don't even think I want to do sports. So I didn't do my clearinghouse stuff in time. I didn't do none of that stuff, right? So I just was like, all right, I'm gonna just give me a job. So I'm working at this Outback Steakhouse. All the kids, all of my peers that were asking me about autographs and stuff, probably 2, 3 weeks ago, suddenly they don't know me. I'm busting the table, and all the people that know me, it's like a group of 30 in the dinner. Not one person, they all know me by first name, had classes with me. None of them spoke to me. One guy. And I'm like, dang, it's a cold world, but whatever. So then they all get up and leave, and one dude hung back. He was like, hey man, I'm gonna give you a call in a couple days. All right, cool. His name was Larry. So he called me about 5 days later, and he was like, man, what you gonna do after school now? He's like, I thought you was supposed to go off to college and play ball. And I was like, yeah, man, it ain't really run that way. He's like, well, I'm thinking about working at this amusement park named Cedar Point. I'm like, what's that about? He told me where to go to look up the information, find out about it. And I'm like, at this point, I don't really have no options. I don't know what I want to do. It's like, but if I keep hanging around people that ain't doing much, I'm gonna end up same way as them, some kids messing around the street stuff. So I'm like, maybe I'll do this. So I look it up, and I'm like, I think I might do this. So we ended up jumping on a train, and we rode up first. The train that we rode went all the way up to Chicago. So we went to Chicago and stayed in Chicago for a minute. Then we came back down, and they dropped us off in Sandusky, Ohio. The first day we get there, like they didn't have our information, so they didn't even know that we were supposed to be coming. So we didn't get a place to stay. We had to stay in a hotel. I didn't have no money. Thankfully, my guy Larry had a plan. He had a credit card, so he was able to get us at least a hotel for a night till we could get checked in, and they allowed us to stay there. But when I tell you, getting there to Sandusky, going to Cedar Point, that allowed me to be in a college environment because when I got there, everything was like dorms. Like when you walked in, it would be people playing. Like your next door neighbor might be playing music. It was like people playing video games. It was straight up like dorms. So I'm like, oh, this all right. So then I get up in there, and at first I'm kind of not really, I don't know nobody, and I ain't from this area, so I ain't really talking to nobody, but I still kind of like the vibe. It's just like I don't know nobody yet. But being there so long, I learned how to make friends. I learned like, cause it's different lingo, different places, but ultimately like I'm thinking that I'm just this dude that nobody, easily overlooked, or nobody really cared. I ended up being a pretty cool dude because they hadn't really seen somebody that operated like I move. Because I could play ball. I ain't saying a whole lot, but I go out there and crush it on the basketball court. But I ain't even a basketball player. Then I could talk to different people. If people want to get in a freestyle, we can rap. I was like doing all of this stuff coming easy and natural to me. The thing about it was teaching me how to become an adult too, because we had to pay our bills. So I'm 19, and they automatically was taking our paychecks they took our rent out of our paycheck. So you never even seen the rent. So it was like, you got to go to work, because if you don't, I mean, you ain't got no money, you ain't gonna pay your rent. So it was like, it forced me to become an adult and have a responsibilities before I even really knew what that meant. So and that once I got to Marshall, the stuff that I had learned, because I did that from probably February late February, all the way till probably September, right at the beginning of school when school first started. And even while I was there is when I actually decided I was gonna go to college because they had these tags that was like a silver tag, blue tag, red tag, and the name would be on the tag, and the tag would tell you what school you were going to. So like my name had my name, but it didn't have no school. Everybody else all had a college name. So that made me have like a desire to be like, you know what, I think I want to go to school now. So I reached out and checked with some people at Marshall, and they was just like, yeah, you can still come, but you can't, you're gonna have to prop a year. So that was, going to see the point was one of my best moments because that was where I got out of being out of my comfort zone, but realizing getting out of my comfort zone was probably the best thing for me. Yeah.
So I got one more, and I feel like it's important for me to tell this one. I
Okay.
thought about it long and hard, whether I was going to tell it or not.
Okay.
This story is going to be about my first postgraduate job. And I would say this, because it was my first postgraduate job, I still didn't believe it would happen. And when I went through the process and the process got hard, I faltered a lot. So mind you, I graduate in December. At the time, I'm in a long distance relationship with who is currently my wife, and she's been waiting on me to make a move down there. I get out of school, it's February, so it's January. I'm applying for jobs, not really hearing no callbacks. February, I started getting a couple callbacks, but then I had a couple bad interviews. I had one interview where they called me and it was a Linux job. Now, mind you, I know Linux commands, but they called me first thing in the morning, and the first thing they asked me on the call was, start giving me Linux commands. And I'm off the top of my head thinking like mkdir, make a directory. I'm like, I knew the interview went bad. I was like, well, I'm not getting that one. I had another interview that went in. I thought went well. Never heard nothing back from. I had another interview. I went in. They got super technical. It was a little bit above me. It looked bad. So now I'm like 3-4 months out. I done graduated. I'm getting a letter saying that I'm about to have this big bill. I got nothing. I end up going to an interview in May. I remember the dates exactly, not the exact dates, but I remember the timeline because something happened that made me remember it. It was right before a holiday. I ended up going in May, my first interview. No, I had my first interview early May, phone interview. They wanted me to come down for the in-person. At the end of May, I go down for the in-person. I felt really good about the interview. I did everything they told me to do in school. I gave it 3 days. I sent a letter thanking my interviewer. No response. And I want people to know this so they don't panic when these things happen. No response from her. I sent an email to the lady who had set up my interview. She said, thanks for that. No response. So now this is at the end of May. So now I'm going through like, as you're waiting on that job request is like 1 week, I heard nothing. 2 weeks, I heard nothing. 3 weeks, my girlfriend, currently wife, at the call, like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. At this point in time, I didn't give up on it. I started playing summer league basketball, ended up getting injured, doing other things, and then I get a call one day like, hey, we're still looking into this job position. The person who's supposed to be hiring you's been out. We're still looking at you. I'm like, okay. That's a month later, though. It's a month later. About 2 weeks, about a week after that, I'm like, well, I still ain't heard nothing. Like, it's a month and a half. This would have, after the week of 4th of July, so the week after 4th of July, it'd have been like, Thursday or something. So it'd have been like July 9th, 10th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I get a phone call that says, hey, they decided that you're the guy that they want to hire, and we'll be calling you back with an offer. Now, my first interview was in May, so I had almost given up on this job to the point where I played summer league basketball, ruptured my Achilles, and when they offered me the job, I'm on one leg. Never told them that, man, if there's a will, there's a way. I talked to, got all my stuff ready, talked to my dean, this time I was dotting I's, crossing T's. I had a reference letter. I had everything. They told me, like, counter anything they offer you. They called and made me my first offer the first time. I was so excited. Darnell, I'll take it. When I come out, yep, I'll be there. And that was definitely one of the happiest days of my life because, again, it was one of those moments where when I looked at the process from where it started, there was a chapter in that process where I thought I'm like giving up. Yeah. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for me. It works for everybody. It won't work for me. And then that day came, I think the thing that I will always partially regret is that if I had a different mentality earlier to believe that it would happen, I would have been more prepared for it. But at the same time, it was still one of the happiest days because on one leg, I was like, I'm on the way. And it gave me my first salary position. And I call, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Sometimes I shouldn't do this. Like this, maybe different, but it was one of my happy. If you was around me that day, I was happy. I just say
Yeah.
that. If you saw me that day, nobody can bring
Mhm.
me down.
Hey man, that's fire. I wish it went like that for me on my first jobs because I didn't get my first career job. It was 2 years after a master's degree. I was making $8 an hour at a company called ESI in Virginia Beach, and it was like they laid me off because I asked for an increase, $8 an hour. I'm like, what? Man, but so for me, this will be my last one too here. So I was actually going back and forth because I wanted to talk about the NFL draft, but I got to talk about this one. This one was when I tore my meniscus in my right knee. So this was right after I had just finished Ramadan. I hadn't hydrated well. I had been running, but just I still hadn't hydrated more, stretching like I needed to. I came up with this brilliant idea. I don't know why, but I decided to go to Philly because I wanted to. No matter of fact, it wasn't even Ramadan. This was going to be for June. It was going to be June. I think it was Juneteenth. I was going to go to the parade for Juneteenth or something. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna do it there. So I got up that morning and I ran up to the I used to always get a hotel right around in Center City, right around the corner from the Rocky statue. So what I would do is I run all the way up to the statue, and then run up the stairs and stuff. So I did that. I did my normal routine, been doing it for years. And I waited on my cousin for a minute. He came, we talked for a minute, me and his sons. We ran around for a minute. Then I told him I had some other things to do. Walked back to my hotel, got a shower, ended up going to the Phillies baseball game. Felt fine. Leg, no problems. Didn't feel no nothing in my leg. Next morning I get up, I get back, go to sleep. Next morning I get up. I was close to the bus station on Market Street. I think it's 35 Street in Philly. So I just walked to the train station. Still no problems. Don't feel no issues with my legs. Ride the train back to DC. I get home, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and I go to put my foot down on the floor, and as soon as it touched the floor, I felt the pains go through my knees. I had never felt nothing like this in my life. I was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And I tried it again. I couldn't put my foot down on the ground. I'm like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" So I talked to a friend of mine because he's in the medical field. I'm thinking he know all what to do. He tells me to go and put some ice to fill up water in the little cups and put it in the freezer and then rub ice on it. Man, that was the worst thing ever. Ice only works if it's not a tear. If it's like something that's, it's like get the swelling down, if it can heal. This ain't
Yeah,
something that
that
need this. I needed medicine. Yeah, I needed something else. So I'm doing that and it's getting worse to a point where it's swelling up. I ain't even sleeping. So I'm walking on it, but I can barely walk. I walk on it for a whole week, not able to sleep in the night. I'm propping my leg up. I'm taking medicine, but it ain't enough. And then I couldn't take it no more. So ended up going to the doctor and they found out, well, they did x-rays and was like, yeah, you got a torn meniscus and a stress fracture in your right foot. So I'm like, what? I didn't trip over nothing. I didn't fall. I don't even know other than I
right.
didn't stretch well. I guess that it happened. So doing that, it took me, I didn't go to no doctor to rehab. I said, I'm gonna rehab this myself. This happened during COVID. Everything shut down. Ain't nobody around. There's nothing, so I'm like, I'm already trying to adjust to an environment because I ain't used to like sitting in the house all day long because the city shut down. So it's like, man, and I want to get out and go do something, but I can't go do nothing because I can barely walk. So I get out every morning and I limp just a little bit. I might limp about 100 feet and then come back in the house. So then I did that. I did that every day for about 3 months. I had a little timer on my or a distance thing on my phone to tell me how far I walked. So I would do that every couple days. I would just walk a little bit of a distance and go a little bit further the next day, then come back. I would get the stretch bands and I'd stretch and then I'd ice it. So it started to get a little bit, I was able to walk a little bit. Like the way that I was walking, it almost would feel like my knee was about to hyperextend. So suddenly I didn't feel that anymore. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I might be getting a little bit better. I jumped the gun. I'm thinking that, okay, I could probably do some more. Messed around, mess it up again, and it swole up all bad. Now that set me back another 2 months. So now I'm doing the same thing again, over and over again. So another couple months passed. Finally, I got to this point where I could actually like walk and almost skip. I could do like a brief skip without feeling any kind of pain or anything. So I was like, I remember seeing this white dude run past me, and I was like, man, I wish I ain't ran in so long. At this point, you talking about 9 months. I ain't ran, and I run pretty regularly. So I'm like, I just wish I could run. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna run. I don't even care. So I tried to take off. I took like 10 steps, but my leg buckled. But positive on that was the first time that I had ever even made an attempt to try to run. And it didn't, it didn't swell up or nothing later on that day. So I'm like, oh, I got progress. So I kept icing it. I get up and I walk. And then I waited about 2 weeks. Then I said, I'm going to go and try to run a little bit further than what I did. Next time I ran, I was able to run a little bit further. Matter of fact, at first I had a limp when I was running. It was almost like my leg was loosening up. So as I would run, my muscles were starting to loosen up a little bit, and it would allow me to run my regular form. So by doing that, so I did that for about a month, just consistently. Finally, I was able to run almost a mile. And I left this out, but I've told you many times about how pivotal Mount Trashmore and Virginia Beach is to me. So for every year, every time that I've ever went through anything, when I lived in Virginia Beach, I dealt with my grandmother passing away, my chick was cheating on me, job laid me off, everything that I ever had to experience, I would always go over to Mount Trashmore and I'd run till I was so tired that I wasn't thinking about it no more. That's how I've gotten over my, like just the things in life. So at this point, I feel like I've just about gotten back healthy again. So I said, you know what I got to do? That weekend, jumped in the car and I drove down to Virginia Beach. Went straight to Mount Trashmore that morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Put all my running stuff on, and all the way around Virginia Beach, Mount Trashmore is 2.5 miles. So I took off and I ran all the way around. When I tell you, so there's a big hill like at the top, like when we drove past it at one time, you may not have seen it, but there's a really tall hill there. So I ran all the way around and then I ran up that hill and I'm up there like I ran the Rocky statue. I'm up there like this, like it's 8 in the morning. People probably thinking I'm a crackhead or something because I'm out there celebrating. I'm yelling and screaming. And nobody's making no noise. It's quiet. But that was a win because nobody was with me to see like the days when I ain't even want to get up to eat because my leg was hurting so bad. So for me to be able to work on myself and get my leg back right to where most people that tear their meniscus and don't get the surgery don't never actually get back to a point of being able to run again. So I felt like that I can't like that reminded me that I can accomplish anything. Like it might take some time, have some patience, a little bit of adversity might fall, stand back up. And that's like every time I'm going through something, I remind myself of that I did it. I ain't have nobody pushing me. I ain't have no coach. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody was checking for me. I just went and I got myself right. So that's my one, man. That's the one that really,
Nice.
and it was doing COVID. Yeah.
And that's big because there's a lot of people who are suffering injuries that, want to bounce back.
All right, so now we'll transition this one into we're gonna do the I guess the rapid fire. So I'm gonna say, and this is gonna be where in some instances I might say like one or two words, and then you just say what comes to your mind, or in some cases it might be a couple more, and whatever it is, you just comes to your mind, you just say that out to me.
All right, but you want me to
All
give
right,
you like just a one word answer or just a quick answer?
whatever comes to your mind, quick answer, whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right. Cleveland Browns,
Irrational, toxic, real love.
the loudest in a room.
Is either weak or he's the people weak people mimic. Because if you're in the right room, everybody know the strongest man in the room, you gotta get quiet for.
Right.
That's typically what weak men mimic when they can't
Right.
do that.
Good point. Annoying sound.
Chalkboard. School.
School subject.
Mathematics.
A wonderful smell.
That's
Throw you off.
potpourri at my mom's house. Potpourri at my mom's house.
I hit you with one that was going to throw you off a little bit. A disciplined man.
It's prepared to be a leader. Discipline's the basis of everything. It doesn't matter what you do.
Mm.
The discipline of doing it every single day is what take you further.
A great singer.
Maxwell.
Marshall University.
Where I grew up at.
Like that. Instagram.
A good platform if you know how to use it.
Friendship.
You can't put a price tag on it, and it's irreplaceable.
I like that. Yeah. So you got
Of course, man. I had to start with the first one you start with, Ravens.
Super Bowl.
Overall education factors.
Knowing your end game.
How to process American politics.
Don't do it.
The need to learn about the true story of Al Quban. And if you don't know what Al Quban is, we'll explain that on another day.
Take your time.
The importance of understanding situational fashion.
Strong background. I think that ties into either your educational background or people surrounding you. Because if you got the right people around you, even if you weren't taught that, you're going to see them and you're going to, it kind of goes back to that. The 3 people or the 5 people you talk to consistently tell you exactly who you are. So I think that those kind of tie into each other.
Balancing career and personal.
Hard. Nobody really has that mastered.
Importance of religion.
Foundation. The backbone. Life.
What's the number one thing a man has to be to attract a woman?
Gentle.
How do you handle conflicts when you know you're right, but you know you also can't win?
Well played. I create another conflict.
That was my tip.
I create. Okay, that's a bet. Hey, I like that. That was dope, man. I think that's something we should do that a little bit more often, even when we bring our guests on.
Right.
So like I was talking to one about she did a thing I seen her do where it was like sayings. So it was like finish the saying. So it was like I brought you in this world, and then you had to finish what I take you out.
Everybody.
Yeah, yeah. So
Take
she
you
was
right up
doing
out of
that.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I was like, you know what, we might try to do that at some point too. But I like this. This was pretty dope to me, man. I think this is a good episode, man. Anything you want to lead out with before I close us out?
I would say we both ate today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of Black on Purpose 365. My co-host came. We both pulled up a seat to the table. We both got something to eat. Plates was full. Appetites is gone. Complete Sunday. We start the week off great. Appreciate everyone. Everyone that tunes in. Give us some of your suggestions, your likes. Won't you tell us about your best day that you ever had? Let us know anything that you would like for us to talk about. And until next time, it's been a pleasure. Black on Purpose 365.